I mean, I don't even want to talk jokes right now, other than the fact that I'm just definitely a better trader than you. Um, yeah. Anyway, let's start the show.
Don't make me put you back in the fucking gulag with your lies. Oh my
Let me
god.
do it. I don't know.
I will
Actually,
send
Vanessa
you
is
to
better
the
than both of us,
I will
but
send you
whatever.
to the gulag right now, Christopher. Oh my god. You must.
We should have these stage versus stock moms.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters,
This is a journey into sound.
the fattest, funkiest tunes in town.
All right. All right. All right. Good morning, everybody, except Christopher. Welcome. Welcome to the Stockhouse Pre-Market Show. My name's Elaine Adams. Some people call me Stock Mom. Some people just call me the greatest to ever do it. I don't know. I don't make the rules. But what I do know is that I designed this show to help out everybody. Now, what do we do here? We do top-down analysis. We talk about futures, indices, ETFs, individual stocks. We love talking about the news. We also talk about our trades, the good ones and the bad ones, and the psychology behind those trades. Something that we don't do is give out financial advice. We'll never tell you how to spend your money. That's your decision. But what we can do is talk you through the trades that we were making and how we got to those decisions on our own. If you want to add to this conversation, please raise your hand and come up on stage. If you find these conversations valuable, ping everybody into the room, from grandma to your kids. Everybody, we're friendly here. I'm joined by some of my favorite people. Vanessa, Christopher, Fly, Hager, Gavin. How's it going, man? Rev. Today is a Thursday on a short week, and so we're actually really seeing like some interesting market movement. And I don't know if I'm going to be fooled by the fake out, but I could totally get ecstatic because it is a great green morning. With that said, we like to start our days off with a quote, and let's see. Yeah, Christopher, let's hear your quote for the day, man. How are you feeling?
I actually didn't have a quote for today. I was
Well,
hoping Vanessa got to go first, and then I was
all
gonna
right,
have one. But
all
whatever,
right, all right. Let's.
whatever. I got one now. It's cool.
Okay, cool.
Um, in
Are you
market
ready?
situations like that, like, well, we have two jobs, right? Our first job, making money. Second job, not losing money. Warren Buffett.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Vanessa, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to freestyle my quote per usual, but what I have to say today is that life is hard. So if you can do something nice for someone, do it. Use those gains to be a blessing to someone, or not even gains, but I truly believe in just, doing right by people and giving back when we can. And I think a lot of us in this room is very, very blessed. So if you could do something nice for someone today, do that. And my name's Vanessa. I'm done speaking.
Mine is by Miller Friedman. Especially after Biden's talk yesterday and kind of, I don't know, I feel like I'm just in tune with Republican ideology at this point. Like I know what they're going to say. But the quote goes like this: cutting government spending and government intrusion in the economy will almost surely involve immediate gain for the many, short-term pain for the few, and long-term gain for all. There were definitely some parts in there that I know. I mean, we'll talk about it in the news that there is not going to be bipartisan agreement. There probably won't even be 100% Democratic agreement on a lot of the points in Biden's plan. And I understand because it's just that's the way politics is. And at the same time, the bigger picture here is that our infrastructure needs extreme levels of improvement. Is that we do have this bipartisan government and democratic system that is constantly stuck in gridlock and fairly ineffective for the needs that it's supposed to do, and that we're at a crucial part in time and history with a lot of our in terms of energy, in terms of just saving the world and preserving a world for the people that are coming after us. So yeah, I don't know. It's something that I'm thinking about as a human. It's something that I'm thinking about as a citizen, and it's something that I'm thinking about as an investor. Sometimes last. Yeah. Anyways, Fly. Good morning. Do you have a quote for us today?
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Twan. My quote for today is April will be filled with blessings and more opportunities. I'm claiming it.
That's right. We love that set of energy. My bad. I started the clap, but I didn't realize my mic was off. Alec, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I got a mouthful of food. I'm sorry. I'm running a little bit late today. But good morning, everyone. No quote. I hope y'all have a great freaking day. And yeah, remember, today's the last day of the week. So don't get into any calls that you aren't super confident about.
Super duper confident about. Wait a second. All right. I just want to ask everybody, hey, how did you guys sleep?
Everybody woke up late, right? Is it
Chris-
just us or no?
Oh, we all did our little morning meeting thing, and it was just like, yo, I'm so tired. Like I did not sleep great last night. All right. Well, it's just an odd reality here. Hey El, good morning. How are you feeling today, man?
Morning. Yeah, no, feeling good. Pre-market's looking great. Hopefully the start of a good month after the last 6 weeks or whatever. But yeah, as always, I would still recommend people to trade carefully because you never know with this market.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know. I mean, you kind of do know. This market is the failed breakout queen. So like, I don't know. Reverend, good morning. How are you feeling today, man?
Feeling good. Yeah, I am not sure if set your limit because you don't want to get there and you get fucked. How about that?
I'm gonna do another quote for you, Reverend. Economics is extremely useful as a form of employment for economists. Yeah, there's a lot of talk going on. But it's so crazy about the speculation. Anyways, Marcus, good morning. How are you feeling today, man?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm feeling great. Good morning, everyone. I did sleep good last night, but that's
What
just
the hell are you doing getting good sleep, Marcus? You're
I
supposed to be.
know. I know. I crashed early last night, 10:30, about 10:45. But yeah, I do have a quote. Believe it or not, I think it's a good one. Trading doesn't just reveal your character; it also builds it if you stay in the game long enough. And that's by Ivan Bayaji.
Yeah. My trading character is built on many days of crying outside after I blew it. Deep character. Good morning, Annika. Oh, you guys.
Hey, doing great.
I thought you weren't even gonna be able to hit me back after that. Like that first good morning text. Are you 6'6" on the money now, Annika?
So the problem I have is I know I've read some of the bios. I know $10,000 to $15,000 is like normal for a lot of people. Having a day where I make multiple thousands of dollars is so rare, and I am so grateful for that I feel like I'm just coming in here with my pennies and talking to like rich people who are successful. And my pre-market, I don't want to give a dollar amount, but I did really good. And with the single stocks I mentioned, I think that Biden can make 2021 better than 2020 if you just listen to his speeches and act on what he says. And it doesn't make sense because I've never seen this before, where someone, except with Jay Powell, but the kind of maneuvering that he can make, especially in the EV market, like with plugs, And with the infrastructure, like the ETFs, the CLII is up, I think, like 15% this morning, and in pre-market, and it's insane. Like the kind of moves that are being made over just a guy talking for a short period of time.
Annika, have you never heard of a Trump pump?
I wasn't in the market back then. I couldn't, because
Oh my God.
my job position didn't allow me to trade single stocks.
Okay, so
Yeah, I wasn't
presidential
really-
speeches are a fantastic catalyst for stuff like this. Sorry,
Then why
go
isn't
ahead.
everybody rich? I'm kidding.
No, what were you saying?
I said, then why isn't everybody rich?
Because
Oh,
go ahead, you got that.
because the president doesn't do speeches every day. Like, no, stop it. That's why I live streamed that thing. Are you kidding me? I was sitting in there like, this is the Super Bowl. This is what we live for. Like, I'm so excited on these damn absolute. And he finally started talking about things we can trade. Oh my God, Annika, this was like I'm sitting in my house like with like a cheerleader's outfit on, just stoked finally for the first time.
Plus,
However,
to add to that, Elaine,
Yeah.
really quick, and I don't mean to cut you off, but like,
No, you're
even
fine.
though it seems like it, especially with Twitter and Clubhouse, Annika, that there's so many people investing, the vast majority of the world, or America, I guess, I'll just keep it to America, sadly just still thinks that the stock market isn't for them, which is something we all need to help change.
Or people get in and stay too long, so they lose the money that they made.
That's it.
Well, generally, I try to be a long-term person. I mean, November, but generally, I like to just buy stuff and just hold it for long-term. I look at it like a retirement account. But yeah, this last 6 months has been pretty good for, I think, most people, and I hope that people don't think that this is normal. But I'm such a noob. I feel like such a dork in here, like day one, making money, and everybody else is like, yeah, this is normal for us.
Hey, Elaine, I don't
no,
want to
I
keep you on
think.
time. It's 8:45. We got to do
I mean, we'll be okay. I think a lot of people like don't really. I don't know, because if you're a super long-term trader, like how are you going to capitalize off of like a short-term pump like this? Actually, the whole thing is this is just pure market exuberance. Like this bill is not going to pass. Like that's my new official stance. Like it's definitely not going to pass. Like not in the way that he just talked about it.
Yeah, there was a lot of fluffy speech.
Yeah, we watched all of the medical marijuana companies like go up a ridiculous amount of percentage. This had literally nothing to do with them. This is pure market exuberance because people do pay attention to these speeches. And I mean, every single one that we can, that's going to give us tradable information. Anyways, yeah. So in order to capitalize off this, you would have to know the stocks that are actually going to move around a Biden pump, and then B, kind of have been positioned, and then C, it's like there's a couple of caveats to being able to have invested on this properly. And honestly, it's not everybody that does like that. Like you said, most of the people who've been in the market for a while, they're doing real long-term shit. And for them, it's like, it doesn't matter what happens this month. It's what happens in the next 5, 10, 20. Zeb keeps talking about giving shit to his children. I don't think he talks about his kids, so they're either very young or not in existence. Like, that's some time. Anyways.
That's how I see a lot of these is I'd like to, when I die, hand over a bunch of stocks that I've had for 20, 30, 40, 50 years to my kids, assuming that Biden doesn't get rid of the step up in cost basis, which he's mentioned before.
Biden is going to tax all of that by the time your kids get around. It's going to be like 80% taxes. Okay, just kidding. Let's talk about futures. I'm sorry, Chris. Do you want to lead the discussion?
I mean, if you want me to start with oil, I can start if that gives you some time.
No. Oh, wow. I wanted you to talk about the NASDAQ. Okay, so I'm looking at the NASDAQ futures, and we're at, once again, a very crucial point, but an interesting part inside of that crucial point. And like what Elle was just saying is something that I truly believe. A lot of times on the last day of the week, before especially a longer weekend, we tend to see a sell-off. Because this is the first of the month and like the start of a new quarter, does that mean that people will be buying? Yeah, for sure. It absolutely does. But are they going to buy today? I don't know. So as we're holding over, so what happened here? Yesterday we closed at 13,089, and today we sit at 13,232. That is a significant gap up, from after hours to pre-market. And this is the level that we wanted to see. The 1300 level is where we needed to hold, sort of to just establish some positive momentum. And that's what we're doing. We're holding over our 50-day moving average, which I've spoken about as being a level of resistance. Now, as we're holding in this 13,200 level, where are our next levels of resistance or potential points of turnaround ahead of us? Well, we have one, which would be kind of the trend line following our earlier trend that basically carried us through, I want to say, from November. And the way that I look at it is like this. If we hold into a trend, that is obviously where I'm just holding on to momentum and playing the chart. Now, after we fall out of that trend, I use that trend line as another potential point of resistance. And you'll see a lot of times when stocks or ETFs or actual indices are holding a trend, they fall out of that, somehow recover, but hold under the trend. I consider that just a downgrade of momentum. And so it's just a potential point of resistance. Right above that, we have a historic resistance that we've hit 1, 2, 3 times and been rejected from since January 22nd. And that level is at the 13,353 level. So right ahead of us, we have a pretty decent amount of chop to be rejected from. Now, is it that I expect us to hit these and just go straight down like like the rabid dog that we are? No, I don't. However, expecting us just to fly through them also is not really something I'm looking for. Whenever I hit a point of historic resistance, I expect consolidation. I expect to hover around that slightly. And I'm just not sure that the things that have pumped up the market are going to continue to just fly us through. However, I love seeing the NASDAQ up 1% in pre-market. So let's talk about the S&P 500. So the /ES, the S&P 500 futures are also at just a crazy spot in the chart. We closed at 3,967. We're up at 3,983 right now. And this puts us into all-time high categories. And oh my God, why is the S&P just sitting at all-time highs right now? Well, because apparently we're poised in a perfect place in economic recovery and also stimulus and also economic foresight and guidance towards what we're looking at in the future. And apparently people are just so happy to buy. Now, if that's the case, I'm here living for it, and I love the S&P at all-time highs. But at the same time, the S&P at all-time highs, while the Russell is kind of struggling in this channel that it hasn't really got out of, and the NASDAQ is not at its all-time highs at all, has a bunch of chop right ahead of it. It's just a questionable setup as we're wondering, like, hey, is this momentum real? Right? I know a lot of people do hey, it's just don't expect things to be like it was last year. And it's not even about last year, but how do you expect stocks to react in general? Do you expect them to sit at all-time highs and just continuously go up? No, this is a little bit of a tricky area. And thinking about stocks collectively as well can be tricky because the overall market is the important thing in a lot of ways. Or you can go by sector, right? But you have to find a way to group these stocks and expecting some of them, a lot of them to be at all-time highs, while a lot of our other major large cap tech or major industry stocks are not. It's just that K-shaped recovery, and inside of the K-shaped recovery, I once again expect the overall market to consolidate, not get dragged by a few. But last year, Tesla dragged a large part of the market up, but there were a number of other stocks involved in that as well. So here I am, and I need to do, if the S&P kind of sits here like this, I'm going to have to do a new chart, right? The 4,000 level is kind of what we're looking at. I think the last time we got rejected, it was from around here at the 3,970 level. So we're right near the all-time highs. And the question is, are we going to continue on the last day of a 4-day week? Are we going to continue on stimulus plans that don't seem as though they're actually going to, have you guys been reading the news about this? Like the bipartisanship going on over Biden's trillions? That's why I named the room like that. That's what I've been reading from last night to this morning. Everybody from AOC to Mitch McConnell, Mitch McConnell wasn't going to let this fly. Stop it. they're all up in arms about the taxes. And then on top of that, like some of even the Democratic senators are talking about energy jobs, and so they said that they're going to start working, and the first meeting is going to be in June, I believe. And they want to start getting this hammered out to a vote by October. So it is for these reasons that I am very skeptical about the longevity of this particular pump. However, I'm in. If this is what we do, I will just play the levels, and that's it. Right. So a hold here at the 3,970 level would be exciting. Even anything above 3,940, which once again correlates with like 394, right, on SPY. So I'm wanting to see us hold in this upper quadrant, basically, of trading in the upper, whatever 1% of our region. And that would still, for me, be a very nice high base consolidation leading towards the upside. However, if we break under this 3,940 level, we have another historic resistance that we've been working at the 3,860 level, all right? 386 on SPY. And under that would be 370, 376, I believe, was kind of like that last little support that we had before we take a larger leg down. I don't really see that happening either. So we are sitting at all-time highs right now up in that region. And the question for me is, are we going to hold over 394? And then I'll be looking for legs down. On the upside, if we do break towards 4,000 and a hold over 4,000, that would be the ultimate in bullish momentum for me. I would genuinely expect a stronger rejection. But hey, that's just me. I'm always looking for a pullback, to be honest, because that's where I want to enter, not necessarily at all-time highs. And last but not least, because I know I'm talking too much and I apologize for that, let's just talk about the Russell real quick. Russell represents a lot of our small cap stocks. And with that, there are still major stocks inside of those small caps that we all talk about. This is also definitely weighted towards healthcare, would be the largest percentage of holdings inside, just sector wise. And so what's going on with the Russell? Well, the Russell took a huge beat down over the past 2 weeks, and they're sitting inside of a range that we've seen them trade in before. The Russell closed in at 22,022. Wow, 2222. And is opening at 22,031 right now. And this is a 0.4% increase from last night. I think that we're in a great place, honestly, on this chart. We've been trading between this 22,000 and 2,300, 2,200 and 2,300 level for quite some time now. And we're sitting at 2,222. So there's plenty of room in the upside just to move, especially on this one. We know that it historically does kind of bounce between these two levels. This might be the easier trade as opposed to jumping on SPY when it's at its all-time high and hoping that it continues to push up. With that said, Christopher, you want to talk about oil real quick? We did have its OPEC day.
Yeah, we're ready. And OPEC's got a lot going on today. First off, I wanted to say that they were talking about that they were discussing options that include rollover and gradual oil output. And the gradual oil output increase will be a maximum of 500,000 barrels per day. So we're talking about slow gradual increase, which is what we kind of been talking about. And what I talked about yesterday was seeing a slight uptick in oil prices just due to the meeting. And as we can see, crude oil is up like 1.9% right now. Brent's kind of fallen down to that lower 63 level, which is to be expected just due to, like we said, this demand issues. But basically, we're expecting a slow climb with oil today. It's all kind of looming around what OPEC is going to talk about, which is, like I said, is going to be talking about the rollover and gradual oil output and going to continue on that slow uptrend momentum. We closed at 59.33, and we opened up, like I said, up 1.9%, and it's a good sign, and it's exactly what we've been looking for. I'd like to see us break above 61 for me to be bullish on the crude side, and then on the Brent side, I'd like to see us break 65, provided everything goes well. But unless we do, there's still no clear sight of an uptrend.
Interesting. Yeah, there's something that I kind of have been looking into and really just sort of getting down on, which is the Baker Hughes oil rig count. And it's basically just a count of all the active, oil rigs in the US and Canada. I don't think they do Mexico, but I might be wrong. It's just that's what I remember from reading about what this actually does. It's literally just a company that tracks all of the active oil rigs. And so you can see now something that I've been noting, even though we have OPEC on one sign saying that they're not going to, continue to basically drill and pull more oil, is that the active oil rigs in the country and Canada has been going up like drastically, right? Every single month, and it well, at least from last year, and moving in, I mean, we've seen a fairly large increase from the lower 200s. Now we're sitting kind of at 330, and although once again WTI definitely functions underneath Brent crude oil, I'm still wondering at what point like we're also going to have our own limitations. I believe also kind of on the other side. Oh, sorry, I don't want to just mince topics. So yeah, Baker Hughes oil rig count comes out today as well. We've seen the crude oil stock change just happen, and I'm with you, Chris. I do like where oil's at, particularly on the chart. I don't know if we're going to continue to uptrend while we're having such demand issues, and some of our reopening plays are kind of struggling. And also, honestly, like I don't know if you guys heard, but part in that Biden speech and what I understood was the need for cheaper energy, right? That's a thing. We are actually a little high in terms of the amount that a lot of these companies need to be profitable, and sort of allowing for that cyclical nature. So I'm not sure if this is the bottom that I expect us to hold, although we have been sitting here in this 60 to 57 region for quite some time. So I do agree with you, but trading oil is such a nuanced experience.
It is, and I'm glad I'm in charge of it because now it's like opening my eyes up to a whole new realm of supply and demand. So, yeah.
I saw somebody else talking about like apparently there's people in Canada who get oil out of sand, and like that they're like, this is the unexpected winner of this whole thing. We'll talk about it another day. Okay, with that said, do we want to do like a trash trades thing today? Do you want to do a treat yourself day?
Treat yourself.
Really? All right. Okay.
This has been a good morning. I'd like us to stay positive if possible, unless somebody has a trash trade.
Oh, whoops. No. We'll go the other way. All right. So many days we come in here and talk about the trash trades that we make and what it cost us. Some days we come in and talk about buying the dip. Ooh. I also would like to do our new favorite phrase to say behind the scenes is like, do you hate money? We say it basically every day, all the time to each other. But on a day like this, on after an amazing green day in the market yesterday and an awesome green star tomorrow morning, we shall do treat yourself. So if you had an awesome trade that went well, if you're sitting in some stocks and you took some profit recently, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to hear about the thoughts behind the trade. And also, and most importantly, we'd love to hear how you're going to reinvest in yourself. We all know all of us throw money into the account at all times, but do you take care of yourself? So with that said, I'm going to open up the floor. Please.
I just wanted to get permission really quickly from Elaine. Elaine, I remember you had a segment called Stocky Balboa. And in college, a lot of my friends used to call me Bobby Balboa. I just wanted your permission to go ahead and change my name to Stocky Balboa because I love it so much instead of Reverend. Do you grant that permission?
I just want to say Elaine has that effect on everybody, right? Like the Stocky Balboa thing. Did anybody catch how viral Stimmy Turner went? Anyway.
But that wasn't me. I didn't make up Stimmy Turner. I wish I did. That shit is hilarious. Yes, of course. I mean, you don't have to ask me, Rev. Please change your name to Stocky Balboa. That would be hilarious. But then also you have to participate in one of these segments. So,
Bet.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we have Annika or Dexter go? Because he raised his hand, and Annika is the one having a day.
I was voting for the Stocky Balboa. I was giving, that was my yay.
Nope. Let's hear how you treated yourself, Annika. How are you going to treat yourself off these massive gains? What are we doing?
Okay. Well, I had some good luck with the stocks that I had texted you early this morning. Do you want me to mention them? Because I don't
You
know
don't
if there's
you don't have to. No, you don't have to.
okay.
You can just yeah.
I think just kind of like finishing doing. What's funny is, so I just had some trees removed from my home, and I'm going to be getting grass put down. But I'm getting some fruit trees, and I think that that's going to be a good investment because avocados, apples, lemons, and oranges are something that I consume quite a bit of. So I think like buying fruit trees over the next couple of weeks is going to be a good investment into my long-term health and fewer trips to the grocery store. So that's how I'm reinvesting the money.
That's an awesome treat yourself.
like
No,
that.
fruit trees are dope. Yeah, that's a good one. I think we should all kind of consider that. Christopher, did you have something you want to say, or you want to check some of the people who just hopped on stage?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to check out Dexter, and I really hope I'm not saying this wrong. Is it Iman? Can you tell us how to pronounce it?
How do you not know Iman? Iman comes on our stage like
I mean, I know. I just never really pronounced it. I was like, Iman.
Wow.
Whatever.
in her
Anyway.
profile.
Totally in my profile. Totally.
Is it?
Like,
Chris, do you
yes,
not,
it
do you
is.
not
See, I
care
don't-
about
yeah,
respecting
I-
people? That's whack.
Chris, that
Iman's
was
definitely
not your
Sorry.
that was not your shining moment.
No, bro. I'm in the charts. I'm
All
in
right,
the
you guys, let's
I'm
clear the
sorry.
stage. Iman, clear. You know what? It's on you. Whatever you want to talk about, go for it.
If you want to trash me, please feel free.
No. It's all love. It's all love. My treat yourself or treat myself is really lame. I paid a credit card off, so I have less stress in that area. So I'm super excited about it, though.
No, that's awesome. That's the adult flex. Being an adult with weak credit is really the hard part. So no, you're amazing, Iman. We love that.
Now from here on out, all that interest you're not paying is gain.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. With that said, Ben and Zev are here, and it just makes me want to talk about employment numbers. I feel like that's what time it is. Like, can I just like?
How'd you
pitch real
guys
quick?
get Ben back on? That's my question.
Yo,
Peter
on the
for good.
back end, I tell Ben jokes on Twitter, and like that somehow that fucking works.
Yeah, but Elaine, your instincts are dead on, right? We had a nice ED preprint today. Well, I say nice, but weak. But nice if you're a growth and tech investor for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, can you talk about that a little bit, Ben? And then we'll talk about jobless claims if you want. What were you expecting, and how does that make you feel in terms of just outlook in general for tech and growth investors?
Well, and Zev and I have talked about this offline. I mean, it just supports some of the price action we've seen over the last 5-6 days. If you go back to Thursday of last week when we saw that massive intraday reversal, it kind of showed some market sentiment shift. Obviously, we had a weak Monday after the Archegos, kind of unwind. But then Tuesday, once again, we saw this massive intraday reversal. Remember, Zev, we almost finished green. We were down 120
He did.
points.
Ben called this early in the day, and I thought he did finish green that day.
I think we finished just slightly
missed
red.
it.
Yeah, it was just slightly in the red, but nonetheless, I mean, it was just indicative of this more tectonic shift. Now we'll see if it follows through, but today's ADP print definitely supports that because it does show that maybe there's a little bit more over exuberance about the economy kind of hitting full stride. So I do think it's again, it's kind of one of those weird things where sometimes bad news is good news, but yeah, I like the growth trade right now. I do think there'll be some rotation back to it. I mean, some of these heavy hitters were well below their 100-day. And so a lot of that's snapping back, and you guys are seeing it even in the EV space. I saw QuantumScape, for God's sake. Could you see QuantumScape pre-market today? It's like up 16%.
You guys, Ben, I know you're old and you lived during the time when QuantumScape was a garbage company, but they're poised with this fucking solid state battery to rip everybody to shreds. We love.
Are they actually a company?
Yeah, they are a company. They do have a product. The product is in a category, and it is on point for what the category needs. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so my point is, it's not so much specifically to EV or batteries or solid state batteries. It's more just overall macro appetite for growth. And I think that there's a tectonic shift that's happened over the last 5-6 trading sessions, and we'll see if there's follow through. But what I will tell you is that you're seeing this concurrent with inflated yields. I mean, yes, the yield pulled back a little bit on the 10-year. When the print came out today, I think we're back below the 1.70. Nonetheless, watching what the NASDAQ's doing pre-market, this is really encouraging for the growth and tech oriented traders. So you want to watch it closely now. Is there going to be more follow through? Are we going to get back to those, this recent highs? It's probably going to take some time, but I do think it's constructive if you're growth oriented.
So looking at a 719 on the initial jobless claims, which is above what the expectation was, and also like a whatever 3700, which is below, I guess what. Oh no, that also is above what the forecast was
Yeah, it
for
was
continuing
weaker
jobs.
than expected. Yeah,
It's
weaker than
definitely
expected.
weak. And like looking at that in context with just the bipartisanship going on with what Biden said yesterday and that kind of weak response from Congress and the Senate as well. I mean, why does this make you bullish for the growth sector?
Because number one, I do think that you just mentioned some of the political gridlock. I do think that's going to be a headwind for this potential corporate tax increase. I think there's probably going to be a compromise that's well below the 28% that's been proposed. So I think that's one aspect of it. Again, I think going back, the infrastructure play I think is interesting in terms of the top line number. I don't know what that's going to look like. But again, I think the other thing we need to look at is the NFP on Friday. Now, unfortunately, the market will be closed. But the number you want to be watching is the wage number, hourly wages. If that is a real hot number, this could all fizzle out, right? So that's what we need to be watching. But again, there'll be revisions from previous months. I just still feel pretty good about the growth trade reverting back to the mean because it got far too oversold. I mean, I think that's pretty clear just from even just looking at it.
Growth never really goes out of style. And, at the end of the day, like, whatever Biden does in Washington and whatever the 10-year does and whatever Friday's number is, we're all going to be shopping online a hell of a lot more 5 years from now. We're all going to be playing more video games 5 years from now. We're all going to be probably working remote more, like even if we go back to some extent, the remote trade is here to stay, like the remote work environment's here to stay. More and more data is going into the cloud. More semiconductors are going into everything. So I think it's sort of, if you're looking at the market, it's kind of it's always going to be about your time horizon, right? Like, I mean, does anyone actually believe that the NASDAQ and the QQQ has fallen out of favor for good? Like,
no, not when I'm
so.
sitting at the S&P at all-time highs. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Zev.
No, and I was just going to say, and I think what you're seeing here is, even if we're not saying the QQQ is now on its way to all-time highs, to right behind the S&P or anything like that, I think what like the market is now at this point, it's like, okay, we did the reopen trade. How much more or how much further are we going to pump these airlines before, how much higher are these stocks going to go and the cruise line stocks going to go, given that the fundamentals have deteriorated. Like, the balance sheet is not what it was, yet the stock is what it was prior to the pandemic. So at some point, it's like, okay, you already got that trade, and, things tend to overshoot to the upside and overshoot to the downside. And, I would argue to some extent, I think a lot of the reopen trade overshot to the upside and a lot of the tech trade has overshot to the downside. And that's not to say everything just reverses. Like, you all know, I'm very big on, don't bucket tech, don't bucket value versus growth, like go company by company by company. And when you do that, I think like the two examples I always come back to is like American Airlines, because that is the most heavily indebted U.S. Airline, and that's a stock that's like basically totally recovered its decline during the pandemic. Yet its balance sheet is there's like 12 billion extra debt on there, it's like what's like 35 from like 22. So debt is up 50%. The sales aren't coming back until 2024.
Yeah.
We don't know what's up with business travel. Yet that stock is fully recovered.
They have the highest burn rate for all of the airlines as well. Hey, Zev, I don't want to cut you off, but
No,
this is not the time for a super lengthy monologue. I'm so sorry.
No, go for it.
Damn. All right. Well, now I killed it. But seriously, so I just want to kind of keep it moving because it really is time for a refresh. So let's do that real quick.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first place every morning you should stop to get your stock market news. That's right, I'm talking about the morning show presented by Stockhouse University. We are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. This is a conversation amongst friends that love talking about stocks and want to improve our profitability by coming here every day, talking about the market relevant news, and how we're going to use that information to be profitable. We think education should be accessible and affordable to everyone, so we have a free Discord that has tons of resources and over 1,800 amazing members at all different skill levels that are also talking about the market, and they're trying to grow as well. We also do free classes on Sundays, and we would love it if you would join that community and contribute, because together we are so much more powerful than we are individually. Invite your friends, invite your family. Let's all create opportunities for generational wealth. Also, if you like the conversations that we have here, make sure to click the greenhouse on the top and join the community. We'd love to continue the conversations, and we would love it if you guys would contribute every time we're on stage, not just in the Stockhouse family. Thank you.
All right. Normally at this time, we kind of start talking about SPY, but because we've sort of moved past, and it's super cool. I love talking about the economic data. But you guys want to just go straight into the news real quick? Because there is a significant amount of news, and I'm into it. Okay, well, first off, in number one, I personally, I actually was screaming at my computer yesterday when I saw this. Apple's going to build a grid-scale solar energy project in California. You guys. I've been waiting, honestly, for some of the positive news that we've been hearing on the Apple front to be reflected at all in the price action on the stock, and this just continues to add on more and more. So for me personally, who's like I can't afford to just keep buying more and more of this thing. I don't know that it's necessarily the biggest growth. However, it is one of the stocks that shows the direction of the overall market. Yeah, when Apple, Microsoft, Google, but Apple and Microsoft very specifically are having a good day, that has a huge impact on the rest of the things that follow it. So just as we continue to stack up more and more things, Apple continuing to commit to wearables, Apple continuing to hype up whatever they're going to do with their car, Apple now introducing grid scale solar energy storage project, which means that they're going to be doing something with batteries. I'm extremely bullish on what they're going to be doing and what we're looking at for the future, especially as we can continue to hold on to this 120. I think we're still sitting at. Apple's 116 like a week ago, or 118, I believe that they touched. So that's something I'm really into. Anybody else have some news that you're thinking about right now?
I've got a couple of things, but first I want to piggyback on Apple just from where I stand. And you already know the news about that, but guys, I do work for LG. The rumors are expected to be true if you guys are reading into that. So LG is looking to jump out of the mobile business and move their direct focus towards the home appliance. And honestly, we expect Samsung to be following behind them and exiting the mobile business within the next 6 months. And so I'd really be looking at Apple right now, or Highway or whatever. Like if you like any other of those mobile industry plays, like look towards Apple or those other carriers. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about is Verizon signs its first European private 5G deal. So that's pretty nice. I'm liking that.
Yeah. Okay. Moving down the list, I think that seriously. So one thing I did see was something about Johnson & Johnson having a manufacturing error that affects 15 million doses. And like, I will continue to be the person who's extremely paranoid about the efficacy of the vaccine rollout and how that's going to affect whatever our herd immunity status and how we're going to do it, especially on a global level. This thing keeps mutating. I've definitely read plenty of articles at this point talking about the speed at which it mutates and the potential for it to be, vaccine resistant, basically, if we do not get a certain percentage of people vaccinated. And I don't even think that it matters necessarily, although we're seeing that there's a disparity racially, economically, even in our own country, which seems as though it's actually having an effective rollout at this point. But there are other countries that just aren't even high on the list of receiving vaccinations, and they're struggling. And since travel is a global thing that's not going to stop anytime soon, this is an everybody problem, and I don't see it being approached as such. That's definitely concerning, especially when we have small issues in our supply line that can absolutely affect the overall story. So it's just something I'm going to continuously be looking at. Kind of moving farther and down into it, just once again, the dates that we're expecting, like some of the rollout for this Biden package and what we're going to be looking at, I believe they're seriously trying to get their first vote done before the first vacation in August for the Senate. So that's something to really, really consider if you are kind of moving based off of how awesome that speech was and how good it made you feel and all the positive things that you want to see in the world. To Ben's point, I truly do think that we're not going to see it. I mean, I don't think that tax increase is going to come out the way that they said it was. I am I am absolutely questioning the speed and time within which this project will roll out, as well as the pieces that are actually going to get passed. And so if the infrastructure part alone could get passed, we all probably can still find a great trade inside of that and something to capitalize on. But it is something to consider. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Don't think that these things happen quickly.
I
Go
think
for
you're
it.
spot on, Elaine, to point out not everything's getting through. So you can't just go through the bill and be like, oh, money's going to be there. Let me invest in that. Money's in there. Let me invest in that. I think you're spot on. Like, these things never pass the way that they're first drafted up.
And there's also some news about tensions in Western Asia, having to do with Ukraine and Russia. Tensions upticking, as well as Microsoft winning a contract for the U.S. Army for augmented reality headsets.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
reading
right.
that.
Yeah,
Also,
can you guys talk about the Microsoft thing real quick?
That's so sick. The HoloLens,
Yeah, the HoloLens.
Yeah, and they
$22
actually beat
billion
out.
contract. Did you see what happened to Microvision stock off of that? Holy shit.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
the
exactly.
moon. Now go for it. Talk about it for 2 seconds for people that don't know anything.
So HoloLens is the augmented reality headset for Microsoft. It's important to understand augmented. You have virtual reality, which completely drowns out the real world, and that's like your Oculus Quest. And then you have augmented reality, which lays information over the real world. You've seen like heads-up displays and stuff like that. So that's augmented reality, and this is a contract with Microsoft.
It's like RoboCop shit, right, Jeff?
Yeah, it's like a contract with Microsoft to outfit soldiers. Although we'll see, because the grunts usually don't get the most expensive technology. There's a lot of money involved at the end of the day. But this is to get them augmented reality headsets in the field. And the implications, from safety, you're talking about, it could be anything. Like, it could alert them to movement in a field, far off. You could talk about things where, where the command center can, there's cameras on it, so the command center can see the battlefield through the soldier's eyes, and offer, up-to-date information, real time and stuff. It's a way for soldiers to communicate with one another, maybe in the dark. Not that it's night vision, but again, it's like a screen in front of your
night
face.
vision, actually. I think the night vision is actually
Not night
incorporated
vision,
with that. You do
Is
have
it built
the
in?
deal. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that night vision is going to be built in. The deal is worth about $21 billion or $22 billion.
21.9, I think. 22.
Yeah. All right. No, I think that's important to look for, like, on a future trade. Can we talk about some today stuff real quick? You guys, okay, so Amazon was one of the ones specifically implied. I didn't hear Biden say it. The article I'm reading says that he specifically talked about Amazon yesterday in tax. Oh, he did talk about Amazon yesterday in the tax loophole part of his remarks.
Yeah, he mentioned them.
He mentioned them by name. And so Jay Carney, who's Amazon's public policy and communications chief, basically said, like, if R&D tax credit is a loophole, like, that's something that the Congress passed, and that's something that we should be looking at. We talked about that a lot in our conversation, like, kind of after that meeting, basically saying, like, there's a reason why you can spend. I mean, you definitely shouldn't be taxed on gross profits, right? If I'm spending it on the company, whatever. I don't even know if it's a loophole necessarily, right? It's the way business has always been done, and it would.
It's perfectly legal. Like,
of course,
these are the codes that they're given, and
every one of us who has a business does this same thing too. Like, that's the thing. Like, this would affect all of us, right? All of us. I don't say all, but a lot of people trade underneath their business account, and there's a reason why you would do that. Sorry, go ahead, Zev.
I would just make one more point too before you do, Zev, is just that is indicative, to your point, Elaine, of just some of this, this fractured nature of the political landscape, and why that, you're not going to see a lot of these plans as put forth with regard to legislation passed the way they look. You got a guy like Jay Carney, who was a former, spokesperson for the Obama administration. So it's just, I think, things are going to look a whole lot different than what's proposed as to what gets passed. My bad, Zev, you go ahead.
No, that's totally right. I mean, look, we say it all the time, and we say it for people that are trading. There's two types. There's tax evasion, which is illegal, and avoidance, which is legal. And a publicly traded company has almost like, there's a fiduciary duty to some extent to, like, avoid taxes whenever possible, because it's in the best interest of shareholders. You know, I do
Absolutely
think
is.
yeah, I do think it's ridiculous to some extent that companies are like you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at the politicians in Washington that made this perfectly legal. Like,
And I don't know if we can be mad at it. Like, this is definitely the way business, like, what's the incentive to run a business and do it if you don't get to use the profits off of it to invest in that business tax free? Like that,
Well,
it would make it so preventatively expensive to scale and grow a business.
And keep in mind, Amazon was one of the very few companies that added hundreds of thousands of jobs during the depths of the pandemic.
and their business model saved, like they
absolutely
saved productivity. They're the ones who got us the e-commerce. They're the cloud that we're working off of. You know, I mean, look, not that they don't have issues that they have to work. I'm not trying to sit here, you know, and totally kiss Amazon's ass, but you know, to some extent, we do have to realize like politicians will jump on anything that sounds good and anything where they can find, you know, the bad guy. Like, again, like I'm still waiting to see what reform comes out of this Robinhood thing that every single politician seems to jump on, you know, and
I know.
with the idea that, oh, we're protecting the little guy. It's like, has anything happened? Like, no, because we're on to the next thing now, and then it'll be the next thing.
I disagree, Zev. I see this. This is still going to come back to us. We are absolutely. I'm just
Robinhood
waiting.
thing?
Oh, the Robinhood thing. I think that there's going to be a tax on
Robinhood IPOs and raises $1 billion.
Well, Robinhood's definitely going to raise $1 billion. All right, you know what? We have to keep on moving, or else we're going to get stuck here. The last thing I wanted to talk about, which is something that I was thinking about inside of this thing, is if you're going to start a war with the people who have access to all of the raw materials that we need to continue to grow our infrastructure, and B, a fucking chokehold on semiconductors in a time when there's a shortage that's affecting all of our major auto it's going to affect literally every part of our tech and growth side. And right now, what we're looking at, well, NIO, XPeng, Lee all knocked out their delivery numbers ahead of what they thought. Now, were these delivery numbers amazingly high, you know, compared to like a GM? Not necessarily. However, we know that Ford is parking cars, unfinished trucks in a lot, just sitting waiting for chips. It's a $40,000 car waiting on a $1 piece. And they have the ability to totally, fuck us on that. I don't know. I don't necessarily love the aggressive tone against it when we are dependent from a supply chain point right now and a materials point. Sorry, go ahead, Zev. Quickly,
I have a question for you based on that view. So when we're talking about things that get passed in this infrastructure, like I feel pretty high conviction that something that's going to catch priority on both sides of the aisle is going to be semiconductor investments, capital equipment, fabrication facilities. I mean, would you agree or disagree with that in terms of, you know, if you do want to place a bet? I mean,
I do agree, but the thing about semiconductors seems to be that it's not a money issue. It's, you know, like this isn't necessarily
it's a geopolitical issue.
But not only that,
it's
apparently it is not easy to get to make these semiconductors. Like it's a supply chain issue, right? It's like every single piece, just like making a car. All of these things are just because companies do it, it does not make it easy to be done. Looking at what's been happening with Intel, just continuously just losing. Same thing with like the Nvidia thing. Like how is AMD that far ahead? Right, Intel just now building another manufacturing facility in Arizona that should be getting to 7 nanometers thickness in 2024, while AMD is going to be at 3. Applied Materials is going to be at 3. It's not close, and that disparity talks about the extreme difficulty in the production side of this. So this isn't just a money issue, and that's part of the problem.
But keep in mind who Intel had at the helm for the longest. They had the wrong guy. And that was a temporary. He was supposed to be an interim CEO. Then they made him permanent. Like that was a business guy. That wasn't an engineer. So that adds to the problems they've had.
No, you guys are making me want to do a number of rooms. Can we? I would love to do one on the ethical, versus profitability side of Amazon. And like, well, I don't know. I just Amazon's a tricky one. Sorry, go ahead, Ben, and then Christopher.
No, it's fine. I mean, with Amazon, I would just say they did create. I mean, in reality, you know, people talk a lot about social safety nets. I mean, and unfortunately or fortunately, Amazon was the social safety net at the depths of the pandemic. But to the question about semiconductors, I would just make the geopolitical point as well. You know, we view a lot of the companies through the lens of their stock price. There's a lot of geopolitical risk priced in there. Obviously, the Biden administration has as frosty a relationship with China as the Trump administration did as well. So I would just say that's another component to this. But in terms of the mechanics, yeah, you're absolutely right, Elaine. Supply chain is a major issue. But geopolitics shouldn't be discounted as well in terms of, which are going to be the winners and losers.
Yeah, absolutely, Christopher. Were you you trying to tell me to hurry the hell up?
I was trying to tell Zeb and Ben to shut the F up.
I know. I got to jump
No,
anyway,
no,
though,
no.
guys.
I was just gonna, I was actually for a long time. I was actually trying to get to the Neo numbers, but you got to them, and then I was just gonna say that my particular baby Ivan expanded its crypto mining business. Other than that, yeah, I was just giving the mic back to you so we can get some affirmations.
Elaine, I got a question before you move from Amazon. Are you in favor of them hitting back, or do you think that as a publicly traded company, they have to just sit back and kind of take it and fight it in court?
Amazon's going to continue to pay $0 in taxes until that's completely illegal. And at that point, they will do whatever the minimum tax is then. And I don't know. I think Amazon's a terrible company, but I personally try to pay as little taxes as possible. I know. So it's a tricky one. I don't think they should be able to do it, but we should all be able to do it.
But they also lost a ton of money to start out, and that
Amazon. Zev, would you work for Amazon? Would you want anybody to work for Amazon? That's like the end. At the end of the day,
100% I would.
Bro, they work ridiculous hours. They get paid garbage wage, and they definitely
You mean like most people in finance who like are just starting out, who haven't gotten to the top yet? You pay. I mean, I'd work for Amazon. They're like changing the world.
Zev, you give me the Kramer job. I'm gonna get you an Amazon job. It's gonna be good. Now, I'm ready. I'm ready to trade today. I'm happy for the opportunity to trade today.
Get it.
I will trade with a plan.
But will you trade Amazon?
Maybe. I'll never trade off of fear. There is no fear in the market. There's no fear of missing out. There is only immaculate timing. Now, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this community. I'm grateful that you guys come and hang out every day, or sometimes. And more importantly, I'm grateful for the opportunity to create generational wealth, not just for myself, but for the people that I love and care about. Thank you so much, you guys. I definitely had a non-traditional show today, but I think it's all good. I think we talked about some amazing things. I hope you all have a great trading day. And yeah,
PTR.
Let's take a look.
See, this is why we don't trade in the market, because god damn it.
All right, you guys, this is Stockhouse U. and we clearly need to have a conversation on the back end. And we're out of here. I hope you guys have a great day.
Y'all stay blessed.
Look at Spy. All right, we're out. Gotta go.